Hey everybody, today I'm going to review a new World War II movie, Dunkirk. I am a huge fan of the director Christopher Nolan. With his amazing, fantastic, and great films he had directed, like The Dark Knight, The Dark Knight Rises, Inception, Batman Begins, The Prestige, Memento, and Interstellar, he has later decided to direct a movie that took place in World War II. So when I saw the trailers of this film, I became very excited and interested to see it. I saw it in IMAX and it's spectacular. One of the most groundbreaking World War II movies I had ever seen, and I'm definitely going to tell you why I love this movie without any spoilers. The story of this film is based on a true story that took place in the 1940s during World War II and is all about survival. It's about those Allied soldiers from Britain, Belgium, France, and Canada have to evacuate when they are all being surrounded by the German soldiers on the beaches of Dunkirk. It was actually told in three perspectives. On the most section tells a story about a young British soldier named Tommy who came under fire by the Germans and later met other young soldiers on the beaches of Dunkirk. On his journey, he became friends with a few young soldiers he met, and they must team up together to survive. On the sea section is about an old mariner named Mr. Darson and his son Peter and their friend George set sailing on the sea to rescue as many soldiers as possible. Then on the air section is about the three fighter pilots fighting the Germans in the sky. I think the story of this film was excellent. I really do enjoy the idea on how they told the story in three perspectives while it all happened at the same time. Unlike the previous World War II movies I've seen, this World War II movie served more as a thriller. The special effects in this film are great. I really like the environments of this film where they make it so dark and foggy. I can tell that the planes, the ships, the seas and fires are used in both CGI and practical. I can also tell that the part where the planes fly are used in green screen. The action scenes are very intense and thrilling to look at. I had such an amazing time seeing the gun shooting scenes, the part where the three planes fighting the Germans, and the young soldiers trying to escape the Germans. The scene where the ship sinks was very intense. Now for the acting, directing, and music. Let's start with Tommy, played by Fionn Whitehead. He did a wonderful job playing that young soldier who is a British Army private that wants to get away from the German soldiers, and on his journey he met and became friends with a few of the soldiers who also wants to survive. Mr. Darson, played by Mark Rylance, I think did a brilliant job playing that mariner who joins his son and his son's friend to set sail to rescue the soldiers that were stuck in the beach of Dunkirk. Since that he won the Oscar for playing the spy in Bridge of Spies, this is definitely one of the best characters he portrayed. Mr. Darson's son, Peter, played by Tom Glenn Carney, is the guy that helped his father and his friend George, played by that Irish actor, on the sailing boat to help save the soldiers. Then there's Farrier, played by Tom Hardy, and Pilot Officer Collins, played by Jack Lowden. Both did an incredible job playing those two air pilot fighters that drives their plane, and their mission was to fight off the Germans in the air. As much as I love Tom Hardy as Mad Max in Mad Max Fury Road and the evil John Fitzgerald in The Revenant, this is the third time Tom Hardy has worked with Christopher Nolan, since he did play Eames in Inception and Bane in The Dark Knight Rises. Also appearing in this film is Commander Bolton, played by Kenneth Branagh, Colonel Winant, played by James D. Archie, who is from the Marvel TV show Agent Carter, Shivering Soldier, played by Cillian Murphy, who is best known as Scarecrow in the Dark Knight trilogy, and Alex, played by pop singer Harry Styles, who was a member of that overrated boy band One Direction. Commander Bolton and Colonel Winant are the men who lead and watch the soldiers who are evacuated in Dunkirk. The Shivering Soldier is the guy who is being rescued by Mr. Darson, Peter, and George, but had suffered stress disorder after witnessing the horror that happened in Dunkirk. This is the fifth time Cillian Murphy had worked with Christopher Nolan. Alex is a private that becomes one of Tommy's friends who wants to escape Dunkirk from the Germans. Even though I am not a fan of One Direction, I was surprised to see that Harry Styles did an awesome job in this movie. I may not care for his singing, but his acting was pretty well done. Much like the truck driver in Steven Spielberg's Duel, you never see the German soldiers, but you know they are there. Christopher Nolan did a super wonderful job directing this movie. He's really good at making movies so realistic, dark, and a work of art. The music composed by Hans Zimmer sounds very intense and thrilling. So overall, this is one of the best movies I had ever seen this year. It is one of the best World War II movies I saw, one of the best thriller movies ever, and in my opinion, the fourth best Christopher Nolan movie after The Dark Knight Rises, and Inception. It was even one of the darkest war films ever. If you're a fan of World War II movies, go see it. So I give this movie 5 out of 5 nuclear bombs.